Hi guys, welcome to my video. Currently I'm picking out some background papers for my scrapbooking layout, and I'm contemplating using that 1-inch hole punch, and I do end up using it. So my background is going to be this solid white cardstock, and I'm going to punch holes in it. I'm going to do 3 on one side and 3 on the other, and I started out using that ruler to try and measure where the circles would go and how far apart they would be, and then I realized that was kind of difficult, so I just eyeballed it and it actually turned out pretty good, so that's good. And then I go ahead and do the other side, and again just eyeballing, trying to make it about the same as the other one. And I've seen this done before with where people use cameos or their silhouettes or their Cricuts, which are just die cutting machines, but I figured for the sake of this video it would be kind of hard for me to show you doing that, so I just used a hand punch. And now I'm trimming off the edges, and I should have actually done that before I punched the holes in case I didn't leave enough room, but I wanted to put a background paper behind this white, so I went ahead and trimmed the edges, and then I'm going to mat this white cardstock on the purple cardstock. Okay, so now I'm worrying about the coordinating paper that I want to go with the layout, and some of it I'll use to map my photo, and the rest of it I'm going to use to actually go behind the circles that I punched out. And I tried to stick with the purple-green color palette, so you'll see different variations of both of those colors, and then maybe a little bit of pink. And I also pulled a piece of vellum, but you'll see shortly how that didn't work out. And so to know what sizes of pieces of paper I need, I went ahead and took the leftover circles that came from punching those out, and I used those to kind of cut out squares and rectangles about the size. It doesn't matter as long as it's about the same size that you need. So I cut out 6 pieces, and then I don't actually end up using the vellum, so I had to cut another one. And then I traced the circles, and that actually made it way easier to know where to put these papers at on the back. So I traced the circles and then lift up the white paper and place those in. And I'm just arranging those so that they are where I want them. And I like that with the vellum, but doesn't work out that way. And then I'm taking this punch again, and I'm punching 2 half circles at the bottom just to add a little dimension, because I felt like the white paper was just overpowering down there and at the top corner, but you'll see what I do with the top corner. And then I'm going to lift this up and go ahead and adhere these down, and I'm using a glossy accents, but you could use any type of adhesive really to put these down, as long as it's something that doesn't show through to the circles, because that's what you don't want. And this glossy accents can be found at any craft store, Michael's or whatever. And then this vellum, as you can see, I wasn't thinking and put it right on the circle, and you can see through it. So now I'm going to cut another piece of coordinating paper, which I already used that piece, but it's pretty diverse, so I just cut a different size or different color. So I went ahead and adhered all those down, and then I contemplated putting vellum at the bottom, and then I didn't. So I'm going to go ahead and just adhere this white onto the purple, and that is all pretty much for the background of the layout. Okay, so now I'm matting my photo onto some papers, and I pulled a green cardstock and then that chevron looking colored paper that I used for the circles, and then also the leftover vellum. And for that vellum, I wanted it to have a rugged look. I didn't want it to be perfectly cut, and I struggled to tear it with my fingers. One thing I would suggest doing if you wanted to do that is maybe fold it first and then tear, because you might get a cleaner looking outcome. Okay, so one technique that is really good is taking the edge of your scissors and kind of fraying the edges of the vellum if you didn't get the kind of edginess that you wanted the first time. So, and I'm looking at the chevron paper, and I really like the red and pink chevron, so I'm actually going to use that on the background before I use this paper to map my photo. And I really like the way this turns out, the way I use it, and you'll see. So I'm just cutting that out, and I really could have cut it by hand because I'm not too particular about how straight everything is. And that cutter that I'm using is by Cricut Crafts, and you can find that at any craft store also. So now I'm matting the photo to the chevron paper, and then I'm going to cut that out. Yeah, and the cutter, I actually need to switch my blade, but as you see the little brown thing that I'm moving up and down, that is the blade, and those just pop out, and you can buy refills also at craft stores and then replace them. So whenever your cutter goes dull, you don't have to buy a whole new one. You can just buy a new blade for it, which is actually really nice because you save a lot of money. So that chevron is actually going to stay right there, and it kind of draws your eye into the photo, which I like. Okay, so next step is embellishing, which is my favorite part of creating a layout. And so I pulled some wood veneers and some chipboard letters, some enamel dots, flare badges, and I think some twine, but a lot of this I didn't actually end up using on the layout, and you'll see what I use and what I don't. But my goal for this was really to just embellish the circles on either side and not worry so much about the rest of the layout, because the circles is the main focal point. And one thing that you do want to keep in mind when you make a layout is it's best to work in threes. So if you notice, my top left circles is my set number 1, and then my photo, which really I want to be my main focal point, is set number 2, and then the bottom right circles is my set number 3. So I work in threes, and that way you have enough on your page, but you're not overwhelming your page also. And sometimes I'll do more, and sometimes I'll do less, but for the most part, threes usually works for me. So I added chipboard letters to make the word you up there at the top circle, and then I used a sticker, and if you notice those white pop dots I put on the back of the sticker, and that just gives it a little bit of dimension. And I really wanted to use that high sticker, but it did not make it on the layout. It did not work out. And then my dog's name is Penny, so that's why there's a P. That's actually a Scrabble letter, but that's why I put that at the bottom right. And then those arrows are wood veneers, and wood veneers is something that you might struggle with finding at craft stores. I tend to order mine online because they aren't heavily carried at craft stores like Michael's. Sometimes you can find them at Hobby Lobby, and usually I buy the brand Studio Calico. And then right above that arrow I just placed is a flare badge. And those you can find just about anywhere. They carry a lot at Walmart also, so you could look there. Now I'm looking to add some stickers, and I liked that hello friend there, but I thought it needed something else, so I actually pull it up. Yeah, and I matted on another sticker and then put it back down. And I like the way that turned out, especially because I felt like I needed just a little bit more green. And there's the twine. I do use it, but I don't use that brown and white one that I really pulled for the layout. I actually end up using this white, and you can't see it, but I'm just tying a very simple bow, and I'm going to cut it off. And then I'm going to adhere it, but not with a liquid. I'm going to actually use my Tiny Attacher by Tim Holtz to staple it down at the bottom, and you can kind of see it. I'll show it again in a minute, but it's just tiny little staples is all it is, and I just staple it on there. And I don't think I use my Tiny Attacher again in this layout. A lot of times I like to, when I do use it, put it in all of my threes. So I would put it in the top, left by the photo, and then the top right. But this time I didn't. I just put it on the bow, and that was it. Okay, so one thing that I do on almost every layout is I do some sort of accent with the border, and what that does is it kind of just ties the whole thing together rather than just having blank on all the edges. And so this is just a dot and line type of thing. If you do this on your layouts, I recommend doing the dots first like I did, because if you do it all together, it just doesn't come out as clean. So I do all the dots all the way around, and then that way I can just do all of my lines. And if for some reason you don't have a straight edge like that ruler that I have to make your lines, you can just start on one side and drag your arm. Don't bend your wrist, but just drag your arm all the way down the page, and your lines will typically come out pretty straight. And again, I'm not picky about how straight my lines are, so I don't worry about it too much. But accenting the edges of your page is always something good to do to just tie it all together. Okay, and the last thing that I'm going to do is add some enamel dots up here at the top right, and that pretty much completes the embellishment process. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is add a title to my page, which is usually what I wait to do until the end, and I'm using these green foam thickers. I think they're by American Crafts, and you can find thickers at any craft store. They do not carry them at Walmart, but they do at Michael's and Hobby Lobby and Joann's. And I typically buy mine at discount stores like Marshall's and TJ Maxx, because they carry them for $1.49 usually instead of $5 like they are in the stores. And that's where I've gotten all of mine. And I really like the way this turned out. It really just puts a finishing touch on the page. And I chose Penny for the title because that is my dog's name. And I always try and title it something to do with the photo, because that usually is what makes sense. And these purple enamel dots I saw laying here, forgot I had pulled them, and I decided to add them at the end. And that is the last thing that I do to this page. Alright, well thank you for watching, and I have some still photos here at the end. Thanks!